is for educational purposes only. All right, so who am I? My name is David Kushner, and I've been trading the markets for over 25 plus years. I've traded stocks, I trade options, I could trade futures, forex. My background what is was that I had a automotive parts business that I started when I was 18 years old, and I had that business for 28 years before I sold it in 2005, and ever since then, I've been a full-time trader. So, like most of you, this is a thing that resonates with most people. You probably have a whole shelf or a bunch of hard drives full of indicators and trading systems that came with a lot of empty promises of helping you become more profitable and more consistent. So, I probably have 3 or 4 hard drives full of stuff that I spent a small fortune on that is totally useless. And when I saw a webinar that Mark Sachs did, and I saw the money flow tracker system, I quickly realized that this methodology isn't based around the same old indicators that everybody else teaches, but it's more based on mathematical modeling and triple and quadruple screen analysis. So we also only trade with institutional money flow. And it's made me much more consistent and much more profitable trader. So now I'm running over a 70% win rate. Now, let me explain something to you. When I say institutional money flow or institutional, or I say money flow or order flow, I'm only talking about institutional order flow. All right. The institutions are the ones that move the market. The retail traders, the institutions call them the guppies. Why? Because I have a friend of mine, Steve, that he is a broker. He works for a brokerage firm, and he told me this. He says institutional traders make their money off of retail traders. So let's go on. The agenda for this evening is how the money flow tracker software works, the high probability setups, the unbreakable rules to follow, how I trade breakouts and sidestep losing trades, the money flow tracker auto trader. That is my favorite subject. And how to pass the evaluations to become a funded trader. So if for everybody that stays to the end of this webinar, it's about 45 minutes. We have a very special discount for 2026, plus some additional software as a quick action bonus. Now, I ask people all the time, why are you here? Are you here because you're not getting these results you want yet? Well, look at it this way. You're not here to waste your time, right? And neither am I. And you're not here to waste your money. Believe me, I've done a lot of wasting money in this trading business. There's a lot of unscrupulous people out there, and you're sick of buyer's remorse. So what do I mean by sick of buyer's remorse? Well, a lot of people will buy a trading system or an indicator or whatever it is, and they have some success with it right off the bat. And then the proverbial losing streak that every trader goes through comes in, and you end up this this system doesn't work. This system sucks. This system does, right. And then you start looking for the another system, right? Well, so David, show me a solution. What do you want? You want to hit consistent winning trades. You want a solid performance that repeats daily. And look, you're not going to have every day as a winning day, all right? And the markets are here for us to extract money from it every day. Do we extract money from the market every day? No. Not everybody extracts money from the market every day, but it gives you the opportunity. And for us, if the opportunity is not there, we don't trade. So you need 4 things to create trading success. The first thing you need is software. You need software that will provide you with a competitive edge over all other traders. Now, you need that edge to track the direction of money flow. What did I just say? Institutional money flow. And the third thing is you need etched in stone rules to follow, and this will eliminate discretion. And the fourth thing, which I believe is the most important thing as a trader, is patience. Patience to let the trade set up. All right. Now, if you have any questions, just put them in the questions box and either myself or Rory will answer them. All right. So don't be shy of asking questions. All right. So let me show you a few trades that we've taken. Right. Here's a trade. This was on a daily chart. This was an options trade for 139%. This was another options trade for 188%. Right. But these are longer term swing type trades. You know, but here's a trade on 30-year bonds, right? So bonds, this was a 41 tick trade. Bonds are at $31.25 a tick. So this one trade, which lasted basically most of the day, because I had to close it at the end of the day. Otherwise, I would have probably made another $600-700 because I trade with prop firms. That's why I have to close. You have to have your trades closed by the end of the day when you trade with a prop firm. All right. Here's another one on the euro currency. So it works on lots of different markets, and it's very flexible. So look, you're probably having problems making money. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here. Correct? Is everybody correct on that? Right. Exactly. All right. So why? Because you don't have the proper tools to efficiently manage your trade. You overtrade, you revenge trade, and you make impulsive decisions. This is a big problem for probably 90% of traders, right? Why? Well, because they have a losing trade, they have another losing trade. Now they're doubling up their position size, wanting to make those two trades back. Then they have another losing trade, and it's just spiral. It's just like a big spiral. It just goes, and next thing you know, you're laying here and you're dead, right? Tell me nobody's been there. We've all been there. All right. You trade with indicators that lag price. You lack a mathematical proven trade methodology. And all these things lead to blowing trading accounts. Believe me, I've blown my share of evaluation accounts, right? But my commitment to you is to bring this to an end. You showed up tonight, and I'm showing up to bring this to an end for you, right? So why do 95 to 98% of traders that use the following go broke? Right? Price action, MACD, Elliott wave, divergence, price patterns, Fibonacci's. I know it's called Fibonacci. Anyway, and Gantt theory, right? None of these things have any future predictive properties. Now, I am not, and I'm going to repeat this, I'm not saying that the money flow tracker could predict the future. First of all, nothing can predict the future. Not even Miss Cleo could have predicted the future, right? But nothing can predict the future. But with the money flow tracker software, you get very high probability setups, right? And I will show you my trading journal and show you, what we did last year, right? So Mark Sachs had over 35 years in the study in the field of applied mathematics. He was a professor at Jefferson University, and after 8 long years, he engineered the software system and trade methodology that can improve your trade performance called the money flow tracker, right? And we have over 500 traders between our 3 trade rooms that we trade every day together. But before we get started, I want to share my trade journal. So I use an online trade journal called EdgeWalk, right? And every day when I do my performance report, I download all my trades and I import them into this program. So let's go ahead and look at last year. Right? This is my stats for last year. I had a 75.75.5% win rate with a profit factor of 2.65, which for those who don't know what that means is for every dollar I'm risking, I'm making $2.65. Now, do we trade every day? Not necessarily. Why? Because if you look at here, we have basically 20 trading days in a month. Some months we have 21 or 22, but basically we have 20 trading days in a month. So look at this month in December. We didn't trade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. We didn't trade. And this is this week was Christmas week. So we didn't trade, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then the day after, right? And we didn't trade New Year's Eve. So, but we figured we didn't trade. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 20 days we didn't trade. Look what we did in December. Monthly reports. December we did $7,300, right? Look at November, right? November was our best month, right? Look how many days we didn't trade in November, right? But we had some monster days. We had a $5,400 day, $1,000 day, $8,000 day. So anyway, I want to show you so on my trade journal so every day I click on this button and I upload my file, right? My Excel sheet into the program. And what it does is it imports all my trades, the entry date, the exit date. This is the NinjaTrader trade ID, right? So if I go here and I go to performance by day, this only goes back 6 months. But look how many days we have winning days, and look how many days we have losing days. And the losing days, I keep my losing days to $500. Right? That's it. When I'm down 500, I'm done trading for the day. But you can see a lot of empty hulls. Those are days we didn't trade. And I believe that if I probably would have tried to trade those days, we would have ended up with losing days. Because if you trade choppy, low volume markets, you're just asking for having losing trades. And the money flow tracker software will not give you setups in that kind of market. So the thing that attracted me to the software, which I've been using the money flow tracker software for about 5 years now, and was that it keeps you out of choppy, non-trending markets. So, the markets consist of many small retail traders represented by these marbles, plus one or more large institutional trader. Well, since we already know that most retail traders lose money, why would you want to trade along with them? We don't. And this has been the biggest change in my trading over the last 5 years is not trading along and not being a retail trader. People ask me, my friends or people like whatever, well, what do you do? I said, well, I'm an institutional futures trader. And they look at me and they go, wow, really? I said, yeah. And that's what I consider myself. I consider myself an institutional trader because I trade with them, not with these guys. All right. So the money flow tracker software, let's get into it, has 3 key metrics that determine money flow. The first metric is triple screen assessment of the correlative markets using our AI program. The second one is triple screen assessment of order flow. And the third one is triple screen assessment of the Laguerre for momentum. Now, what do I mean by triple screen assessment? Basically, when I train people, and I've trained thousands of traders, I like to keep my terminology very simple. When the simpler you keep it, the quicker people keep it up. So I look at it this way: 3 time frames in agreement. Triple screen assessment is 3 time frames in agreement. So the first powerful force that moves the price is the triple screen assessment of order flow. Because obviously, if you don't have order flow, you don't have the market. So I know. When I put up this chart, people start putting stuff in the questions box. Oh no, not those candles. I can't stand those candles. Well, welcome to the club because I hate them too. You can't make out with all these numbers on the right, on the left, on the bottom, on the top, on the side. You can't make good trading decisions and try to figure out what's going on with all these numbers while the market's moving. And the market moves fast sometimes. So how are you going to figure this out? So we solved that problem. We developed our own order flow candles. We don't need all those numbers. All right. All those numbers are being crunched in the background. So if you have a green outline of the candle, means you have positive delta in that candle. And if you have red outline, means you have negative delta. So again, keep things simple. And this is the way I think when I'm trading. If I have a green outline candle, I have more buyers in this candle than sellers. And I have a red outline candle, means I have more sellers in that candle than buyers. So if I'm long the market, I want to see green candles. I don't want to see red candles. If I'm trading and I get a red candle, I'm out. So it's very easy and very simple to read our order flow candles. Now, what do I mean by triple screen assessment? Means that we have order flow going in the same direction on 3 time frames. Now, I put up a screenshot of what our charts look like. So you can see that all our charts are very clean, very simple, very easy to analyze. Our indicators on the bottom here are all represented by colored lines. So obviously, you want to see all green or all red when you're trading. All right? So let's keep moving on. So the second powerful force that moves price is the triple screen assessment of the Laguerre and our hybrid candles. Now, again, triple screen assessment means we want to see the Laguerre going in the same direction on 3 time frames. And the wicks. So the wicks are a proprietary thing to Rightline. And what they're doing is we're the only one that shows price action inside of a Renko bar. Now, when you have a wick that opens from the previous candle close, goes up the bar size and close, and then the next candle opens up, goes up the bar size, and so on. Okay, these are momentum burst candles. When you have one that has a big wick inside, this is a pullback candle. And we use these pullback candles to our advantage. And I'll explain how we do that a little longer further on in the webinar. All right. So the modified Laguerre is we took all these indicators and we added our algorithm to it, and we developed what we call the modified Laguerre. Now, the modified Laguerre is an oscillator, but it does not show divergence like other oscillators. It only shows strength of trend. So in this screenshot, the bottom colored line is representing this oscillator. So when this crosses below 20, it turns red. When it crosses back above and is sloping up, it'll be lime green. When it crosses over 80, it will be dark green. When it crosses below and is sloping down, it will be orange. All right. But ultimately, we want to see it pinned at 0 or pinned at 100. So we get our acceleration dots. So we know when we're getting acceleration in the market. Now let's talk about our quant lines. Now we have 2 quant lines. We have a long-term and a short-term. And what our quant lines are doing, they're quantifying 28 market components that are examined by our AI system for correlation. Now, most people understand what correlation is. The name itself explains it. It correlated. So we pay attention to it. Most people don't pay attention to it, but we know that it's very powerful. So for instance, if you have all the markets going in the same direction at the same time, that's powerful stuff. But let's say you have ES, NQ, YM going up and RTY is going down. What do you think is going to happen to RTY? It's going to either turn around, follow the rest of the markets, or it's going to just stop going down and go sideways and maybe drift up. So correlation is very important, but most people don't pay attention. But our program, okay, our quant lines do pay attention to that, right? Because it is important to us as part of our trading success and our trading system. So a couple years ago, I decided that I wanted them to write an indicator that will add another time frame because I felt that 3 time frames in agreement wasn't good enough or wasn't as profitable as having 4 time frames in agreement. So we added an indicator that's called the C2. And all it does, it adds another time frame, period. So for instance, our chart settings, if you're trading at 2 minute, are multiples of 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18, and 18 times 3 would be your C2 setting. We trade with Unirankos, so we use range bars as our higher time frames. Now the C2 is represented by this stair-stepping line above the candles. That's it. Green going up, red going down. The quant lines, the top one is the short term, the bottom is long term. This line here is the multiple time frame look here. So let's put it all together. It's super simple. Like I said, I've taught thousands of traders, and most of them have done very well. Some of them even trade better than me. Anyway, but the rules and the setups. Let's go through them. Colored background. That's the first rule. If you have a green or a dark pink background or whatever color you want to make yours, right, means you have 3 time frames in agreement. Now, the C2 brings us the 4th time frame in agreement, right? And that's represented by the stair-stepping line. Now, the next rule is we have a solid line and a dot dash line. Going up, the solid line has to be above the dot dash line, and going down, it will be below. If you run into resistance, the VWAP, whatever it is that you use, okay? We know what we use. We have pivots, we have higher time frame support. You must wait for 3/4 of that body of that candle to pass the resistance, and then you must wait for a pullback candle. And I'll explain to you why we wait for the pullback candle in a little bit. The 5th rule, and this is the easy part, the quants, the short term is on top, the long term is on the bottom, must be in agreement, right? Either red or green. The multiple time frame gear has to be in agreement with the quants. So all green or all red. And the modified gear has to be in agreement with the quants and the multiple time frame gear. And it must be pinned at 0 or 100 so we get the acceleration dots. So on this particular trade, this was the setup. This was the result. This was 63 ticks. Now our exit strategy is, if you are going to trail your stop, fine, whatever way you want to do it. But we use exit, what we call exit on line change. So when the dot dash line changes color, either from green to yellow or green to red or red to yellow or red to green, that's our exit. And why do we use that? Because it'll keep you in the trade longer. All right? Now, this is the thing that is people are very attracted to the money flow tracker software because it helps you stay disciplined to the rules, right? And it will keep you out of choppy, non-trending markets. Sort of like today on NQ. This is a choppy, non-trending market. You will not get signals in these types of markets. Okay, even this afternoon, we had a few trades, but one of our rules is we only trade short below the VWAP and long above the VWAP. All right, so I'm going to teach you how I trade breakouts with the money flow tracker software, and I call it the pullback and go strategy. So let me get this chart up here, and let me grab my pen and make sure it's a good color so you guys can see it. Now, the market's coming down. Forget about what happened over here, right? This is not a winning or losing trade, right? Here's a pivot right here. So the market comes down, breaks that. by 3/4 of the candle, and then we get the pullback candle. So when the candle pulls back to roughly halfway or more, that's when we place our order to sell on down close. So why do we do this? Well, most people, not to say most people, when the market comes down and breaks support or resistance, hold on a second. I didn't realize I had my speakers on and I don't want that to keep going off, so I'm going to turn my sound off. Okay. All right. All right. So when the market comes down, where's my pen again? The market comes down, when it breaks support, it tends to pull back and retest it a lot. Why? Because market makers will go down, see all these orders here, right? They'll go down there, grab them, and go right back. Also known as stop run, liquidity grab, whatever you want to call it, right? Let me go ahead and erase this. So it breaks the support. We get the pullback candle. The pullback candle, we place our order. So what happens if the market's coming down here, but what happens if the market goes like this, right? Well, if this candle closes up, this order will automatically get canceled and nothing gained, nothing lost. For me, when this happens, I consider it a win, right? And this happens a lot. And we don't get caught in them very often. Once in a while, but we wait for that pullback candle. Let the market maker, let who show us their hand. Okay. I'm going to show you guys. Here's one on RTY. Market broke resistance, got the pullback, placed the order, profit target 1, profit target 2. Here's another one on crude oil. Here's 2 trades on the Canadian dollar. All right. So, any questions? Nobody? Am I doing a great job, huh? All right. Let's talk about my favorite subject is the money flow tracker order trading strategy called the Revolutions, but we call it Revo for short. So what does it do? Well, it happened to take this trade here. We only traded on MNQ for 704 ticks. It took this trade here, 665 ticks. It took this trade here for 1,016 ticks. So people ask me, how do you trade with it? I said it's a strategy. So let me pull up the strategy. So I have a screenshot of the strategy, but it's much easier and better for me to explain it on the strategy window. So this is it here, right? It's called Revo STR. We call it Revo, means Revo strategy. I'm going to load one of my templates. Let's just do this one. It doesn't matter, right? So who can tell me what rule number 1 was? We just went over the rules. Who can tell me what rule number 1 was? Colored background. Exactly. Exactly. All right. So we want the bias, which is the colored background, and we want to trade with the C2. So what do? We turn them on. Now, this strategy doesn't wait for a pullback candle. So what I do is I delay the signal by 2 bars. I want to make sure that the market has cleared the support or the resistance, right? We want the Laguerre, right? Red or green. We want the modified Laguerre, red or green, right? We talked about that. Volume threshold, we don't really use that much. And these are 1550 signals, and these are just the color of the lines. If you get it set up, they're going to be the right color anyway. Now, the MA diff, okay, is, and we have the trend signal, right? Now, the MA diff, I'll explain to you what the MA diff is. On this particular strategy, we don't trade it above 350. Now, the MA diff is If you look at this chart in the background, right? And before I get into the MA diff, let me finish this other part right here. So we wanted to clear the pivots. We wanted to clear the volume zones, which are a higher time frame support resistance. We want the quants, both of them, either red or green. Now, the first target number right here is super important. Why? Because our first target is 80 ticks, but it needs to go to 81 to get filled. Now, right here, if we don't have at least 81 ticks to this pivot, it will not take the trade. It will skip it, and it will wait until it clears the pivot, and then it will take the trade. All right? So it is programmed not to trade into support and resistance. Right? The VWAP, we only trade long above the VWAP and short below the VWAP. We don't trade back towards the VWAP. Right? Now, we have other entries if you choose to use them. This is for the bias and C2 together, right? But if you want to try just trading the bias, you could set it up the same way. Or just using the C2, you could set it up the same way. Now, each bar size has different parameters in here, but it's one of the features is that you can have it start and end whatever time you want. So if you want this thing to start at 6:01, let's say a.m., right? It will start at 6:01 a.m. And if you want it to stop trading at 6:01 p.m., it will stop trading at 6:01 p.m. Now, maximum lag. We all know that NinjaTrader and Rhythmic and some data can run lag times, right? You don't want to be trading when you have lag times. And I think sometimes lag times are coming from the brokers, all right? So it tells you the maximum amount of time in seconds that you want to, if you're, let's say, 5 seconds lag, and you set this to 2, it will not trade with that kind of lag, right? Let's keep going. Risk management. It has built-in risk management. Now, we have lots of traders that still have jobs and they work, but they want to trade. So they usually trade what we call the MNQ swing trade. And so what they do is I recommend them that says set your daily profit limit to 1,000, set your session loss to 500, right? So one or two things is going to happen. They set their trades off in the morning. Either they come home, they're going to be up money, they're going to be down money, or maybe they didn't even have a trade for the day, right? But if you're in a trade, let's say you're in a trade and it becomes a monster trade, right? And that trade's up $1,500. It's not going to close the trade at 1,000. But when that trade gets closed, it will not trade for the rest of the day, right? You can set how many contracts you want, profit targets. You can set up trailing stops, break evens, whatever you want to do. And it's also set here to exit on session close. So we'll actually exit before the market closes so you don't lose your prop firm accounts, right? And I'm going to show you what it did. Let's see, because I was keeping track of this last year. So let's do, how do I want to do this? All right, let's do instrument performance by setup. Actually, this is on the website. Let's go last year. I don't have it. I a little bit. Let's see. Let's do this here. Oh, you know what? I don't even need to do this. I have it on my slide. Duh. Anyway, all right. So look, these were the settings. This is the equity curves. This was 2021. This was 2022. I don't have 2023 because I lost all my data in a hard drive crash. This was 2024. right? This was last year. This strategy made last year roughly about $44,000, $43,000 last year. Just this one strategy, right, made $43,000 last year. I mean, how can you even, argue with that? I've traded last year. This is my equity curve from my program from Edgewon. Here are the equity curve. It's the same thing, right? But obviously, this is my equity curve for all my trades. All right, let's keep going. This is a trade that I took, not that I took, that the Revo strategy took, and I hit my first profit target in like 2 minutes, which is not usually like this, but normally I pulled up my recorder and I wanted to record this trade because I felt that this was going to be one of these big monster trades, and I wanted to be able to share it with people. So I turned on my recorder. Already got my first profit target. I'm going to go fast forward here. So here we're up 229 ticks. The MA diff, actually on this chart here, it's on the left-hand side. All my other ones are on the right-hand side. Is at 241. Now it's at 257. We don't trade above 350. So we're up now 378 ticks, 342 ticks, 467 ticks. Now, you can see I moved my stop. Why? Because the MA diff is at 392. It's above 350. So when the MA diff gets high, what we usually get, probably 90% of the time, a pullback candle and a change of trend. The MA diff is telling us how far away, this is the 50, how far away from the 50 are we? This is our way of determining overbought or oversold. When the market gets too far away from the 50, it will tend to pull back to it. So when the MA diff gets high, we expect a pullback within the next few bars. And this happens quite often. So let's keep going. We're up 492 ticks, 551 ticks. Now the MA diff is super high. It's at 424. Let me erase that. So I'm moving my stop closer and closer and closer, right? 570 yet, we're out at 570 ticks. This was a live trade. This is my trade, all my things. I recorded it right off of NinjaTrader. So this trade was 4 micros, right? Took 2 micros off at $1 a tick for 2 micros at $80. That was an $80 trade plus 570 on the runner. So that's a $650 trade. And I didn't do anything. I didn't enter it. I didn't push a button. It took the trade because I told it what to do. And that's what I really like about automation. Now, automation these days in the markets, it's very tough to trade manually. I mean, we do it. I've been doing it for years, right? It's very tough. Why? Because institutions, do you think institutions have traders sitting there in front of a computer screen pushing buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, placing orders all day long? Absolutely not. My friend Steve told me, he says, Dave, most of these guys are sitting there monitoring the algorithms. They're high frequency trading robots. That's what they're sitting there doing. They're monitoring what's going on. In case there's a problem, they have to catch it. They're not sitting there placing trades like retail traders. And that's the reason why we trade along with them and not trade along with retail traders. All right, so let's keep going. Now, let's talk about, oh, and by the way, we have developed the Revo strategy for all the markets that we trade. And in the room, the last few weeks, the last month or two, we've been trading with the Revo strategy in the room and just doing like institutional traders do. Takes a trade, monitor it, watch it, make sure it's doing what it's doing. If you need to move your stop quicker, we move it. All right. So is it fully automated? Yes. You can program it to do whatever you want it to do. I like to be able to kind of watch it and be able to adjust my stop accordingly. That's just me. Some people don't. Some people, when the stop moves to break even after a first profit target, they let it do what it's going to do. And when the line changes, they're out. I don't know. Everybody has their own different way of doing things. So now let's talk about how to pass the evaluations. Now, passing the evaluations has really nothing to do with your trading. All right. Well, that's not true, because if you didn't trade, you wouldn't pass, right? But it has nothing to do with your trading methodology, right? It has everything to do with what's going on between your ears. Okay? So if you focus on the process and don't focus on the carrot. So what do I mean by this? So my other friend John, he's a floor trader, right? Floor traders are a little different. They're a breed of their own. And he tells me things, and I asked him one time. I said, John, how do these guys do it? How do these guys? I don't understand. He says, Dave, they don't focus on anything but one thing that they focus on. They focus on their process, and they focus on their one word. It's hard to draw with the mouth. On their risk. On their risk. That is their main focus. And he said to me, Dave, if you focus on your risk and not focus on your profits, he says, you will be amazed how much better you do. He says, because these guys here, if their trade's not going their way, they're out, period. They have a certain amount of risk, and when that's done, it's like when you put your stop loss in. You take a trade, right? You put your stop loss where you want it to be. You know what your stop loss is. If it goes past that, you're out, and the trade didn't work, you move on to the next one. It's called trading, right? So if you focus on trading well, what do I mean by that? So if you focus on trading well, the profits will take care of themselves. Look, if you manage your account, manage your risk, right? That's what you need to do, right? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, let's go. The challenges or the evaluations or whatever they're called in your particular firm, warrior accounts, gladiator accounts, whatever, right? They're really designed to make you fail because of the parameters that they put in place. Like all the rules that have been, a lot of rule changes for 2026 in a lot of prop firms, right? Plus, how many trading days to pass? I had a gentleman in my room. He was so excited. He said, David, I only got need $100 to pass my first evaluation. But I have to pay for the account tomorrow. It's going to expire. I said, so pay for the account. What did it cost you? $15 at 91% off or 90% off. A lot of these firms are doing these days. I said, just pay it. Well, they didn't listen to me. And he blew it. And he started all over again. So, you have to just be patient with yourself as a trader. The trailing drawdown, that is the biggest one, right? So look, this is my process. This is what I do every day, day in, day out, since I've been trading with the Money Flow Tracker software. Is you sign up for a 50K account, your drawdown is 2,500, right? I only risk 10% of my drawdown on any one trade. So that to me is a $250 risk. Now, if you have a win rate versus your risk, If you are a one-to-one trader, which means you're risking $1 to make $1, you better be at least 60% win rate to be profitable. Now, if you're a 2-to-1 trader, it drops drastically. Why? You could be wrong 6 out of 10 trades and still be a profitable trader. Now, if you're a 3-to-1 trader, you could be wrong. You can have 7 out of 10 losing trades and still be profitable. But it's no fun having 7 out of 10 losing trades and still making money, right? If you want to have 10 out of 7 winning trades and make money. Now, I showed you with my win rate is I'm in between, right in between 2-to-1 and 3-to-1, right? So I don't really worry about it that much. You know what I worry about? You know what I focus on? My trading well. So rather than avoid risk, take intelligent risk. And this will give you that competitive edge you need. Just like this little mouse. I call him George. George is going to want that piece of cheese. George is a smart little mouse. You know, he went to Mouse College, Mouse University, and not the one in Orlando. I live near Orlando. So anyway, he knows that if he touches that too hard, this thing's going to flop over and hit him in the head. So what did he do? Intelligent risk he put on his helmet. All right, so let's keep going. So look, I showed you everything about the money flow tracker software. Now you have two choices. First option, if you are a successful trader and you are making money consistently, maybe not every day, because sometimes you don't make money every day, right? Then God bless you and keep doing what you're doing. But for most of you that are here, the second option would be take action today and join us. You know, I trade in the morning from 9 o'clock in the morning till roughly 11 o'clock, 2 hours. And in 2 hours that I traded in the morning, I'm going to show you something here. This was last year, 2024. We did $121,000. This is 2025. 2025 wasn't as good, but we still made money, roughly about $93,000. And I only trade 2 hours a day. Now, the money flow tracker software, the benefits and the features, it's really easy to learn. Like I said earlier, I've taught thousands of traders. It's very intuitive. It's perfect for beginners. I wish that I had this 20 years ago. I would have saved a small fortune. But, you know, that's just the price we pay for wanting to be in this business. It's perfect for any account size. I have people in the room that just trade 2 micros every day per trade, and that's what they're happy with. And then I have one guy in the room, he trades 200 contracts per trade. And I have another guy that trades 50 contracts per trade. Let me tell you something. You have to be a very special type of person to trade 200 contracts, because I know that if I put on 200 contracts and that trade went against me 5 ticks, I'd probably have a heart attack. Anyways, you trade what you're comfortable with. You can trade futures, you can trade Forex, you can trade stocks, anything that has a chart and has volume, you could trade. So for the first 10 traders to come aboard today, we have some powerful additional software as a quick action bonus. So the first thing we have is the market scanner, which is a $9.95 value. I'm going to pull down mine because I use Ranko bars. That one, the screenshot is set on minute bars, so you can use either one. Now, like we trade different size bars for different markets depending on their volatility. So for instance, on gold, we trade a 4-10-20. So let me see something. Do I have a gold chart here? I do. So let me pull the gold chart down. So it's telling me, well, it just went away on these candles just popped. We had the colored background. So I go look at the chart and I say, yep, I got the colored background. Do I have a setup here? Well, golly, I do have a setup. So if I was trading, right, I would be taking this trade on the close of this candle and probably trade it right down here to this volume zone for 24 ticks. But I don't trade in the evening, so that doesn't matter. But it tells you what's going on the chart. It doesn't necessarily tell you that you have a setup. It's just letting you know, hey, you got a colored background, go look at it. The next thing you will get is what we call the NDT. Now, this is a strategy that we use, and this is what we use to enter and exit manual trades. Right? This is a $14.99 dive, and this is what you put your ATM, and this is, like I said, sell on down close, buy on up close. I did a little study that, excuse me, and I grab some water here. I did a study on Renko bars, and the study I did was, for instance, when you get a reversal bars, you usually get a bunch of bars on that reversal bar after, like here, bunch of bars, reversal bar, bunch of bars, right? So I started using close on down close or close on up close, depending on which way I'm at. And that saved me a lot of ticks on stops. Yeah, sometimes you get a reversal bar and then another bar going the other way. Yeah, but that's the chance you take. Anyway, you get that. You get the masterclass series on Forex futures, stocks, and options. These are really good. I've watched them a couple of times. You get 1 month in my trade room. Sorry about my voice. In my trade room. Now, our trade rooms were part of a study by this Dr. Victor Allen. And in this study, he reviewed more than 225 trading websites and evaluated them. And he used several factors, including transparency, a proven track record, which I just showed you, my proven track record, and assisting traders with educational materials and online support. And we came out on top. And this was published in Traders World and Stock and Commodities magazine. I'm going to try to go a little quicker here. So this is our offer that we are doing for 2026. Now, this slide is not correct. Why? Because we are giving you a 50% off, not a 25% off. And this will expire, I think Rory said Friday. So I have coupon codes for you to get 50% off. So the way it works out is if you want a quarterly membership, then you will end up paying $596. If you want a yearly membership, you will be paying $1,196. And if you want a one-time lifetime membership, you will be paying $19.96. It's 50% off the top price. All right. So, and I'll give the coupon will be in if you go to your GoToWebinar control panel and you go down to the bottom where it says chat. There is a link there. Now, unfortunately, there's a link there. So I'm going to click on the link. And it opens up the web page. Come on. Okay. Opens up this web page. So what you need to do is go down to the bottom. And if you want to sign up for an annual membership, just click on it. And in the chat, Roy put the coupon code. So for the coupon code for the subscription based, it's save 50%. Okay, so if you want a subscription lifetime or quarterly, you put that in. Coupon was accepted. It was $23.94, comes down to $11.96. And when you renew next year in 2027, you'll pay the same price. We don't believe in charging you more for the second year because you're making money, right? We're going to lock you in for 2 years at the same price. And we haven't really had any price increases in a long time. Now, if you want the lifetime, let's see. Let me go here. Oh, here it goes. Yeah. If you want the lifetime, click here. And for the lifetime, you just put in 50% off. It's something with our system, it won't allow you to use the same coupon code for lifetime as you would use for a subscription. So it comes out to $19.96, right? And it also, there's no subscription, so we don't have to worry renewing. So all you need to go to, and if you don't have the link, just go to Right Line Trading, scroll down here where it says Money Flow Tracker, and it brings you up to that page. All right? You get the prop trading room for 1 month free. And then, I didn't show you this, but when you go to sign up, Rory, are we doing the special for the room anymore or no? I don't think so. We are. So if I put in here, say 50%, go apply, there is a section here, live prop room, a whole year access for $4.99. The room is, I believe it is 100 and, oh, I got it right here. The room is $127 a month. So if you look at it this way, $127 a month times 12 is normally $1,500 a year. If you want a whole year of the room at a 60% discount, you click there and you can get this deal. You can only get this deal with your purchase. Unless you are already a customer and you want to do the room for a year, you can contact Rory. Okay, so that's the checkout process. All right, so let's keep going. I have a few more slides. I'm going to try to go quicker. So this is my commitment to everybody. When you subscribe to the Money Flow Tracker software, it's to help you become a successful trader. Look, remember one thing. If you're not successful, it's not your fault. Again, if you're not successful, it's not your fault. You're just not using the right tools to be successful. You know, it's like trying to dig a hole with your hands, with your fingers. Yeah, you can dig a hole with your hands, but if you use the shovel, don't you think you'd be able to dig a bigger hole and quicker? That's the right tool, okay? The Money Flow Tracker software is a totally unique program. It gives you that edge to trade with institutional order flow. So again, my commitment to you is not just how to teach you to read the setup. The setups are super easy to learn, but you have to have and you have to develop a good mental mindset in order to achieve financial independence. What did I say earlier? Trading is, let me ask you a question. What kind of physical skill do you need for trading? It's not like golf, where you have to have a skill, or it's not like baseball or any kind of sport where you need a skill, right? And sports are very mental too, but you also have to have the skills, right? It takes one finger to push the button, right? So I've helped so many traders become disciplined and patient, and the software helps you do that. So if you have any questions or you would like to speak with us, if you put your name and your phone number in the questions box, right? Either myself or Rory will call you right after the webinar, and you can ask as many questions as you want, or if you want to do your purchase over the phone after you ask questions, then Rory said to me that anybody that puts their name and number in, even if we go over to 10 people to get all the bonuses, he will still honor that since you attended the webinar this evening. Man, my voice is getting worse and worse. So let's keep going. All right. So it's a well-known fact that 95 to 98% of day traders and swing traders are losing money. Just like this guy, typical retail trader, might as well just flush his money down the commode, right? Institutional traders love these guys because these guys provide liquidity for them. All right, Larry, but not our traders. Why? Because our traders are trading with institutional order flow. So this guy's flushing, this guy's taking. This is the retail trader, this is the institutional trader. For every buyer, there's got to be a seller. For every seller, there's got to be a buyer. Well, every trade is going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser, period. Right? So which side do you want to be on? I know which side I want to be on, but anyways, we trade with the institutions. Now, again, this is our program that we're doing today. Oh, this slide here is correct. I must have made a mistake. Except the only thing that's wrong here, oh no, it is right, 50% off. I don't understand it. Anyways, whatever. So you can see it's $597, $1197, and $1997 one time. All right. So this is real. About with a woman here. I spoke to her. Her name is Lynn, is Lee, whatever. And she wanted to learn how to trade. And she attended a webinar that I did. And a friend of hers is a trader in my room, and he's a very good trader. And she asked him how. She said, "Listen, will you teach me how to trade?" And he said, "Listen, why don't you contact Mark over at Rightline? He'll help you." He didn't want to be responsible if she failed, and I don't blame him. I really wouldn't want to be responsible either. But so to make a long story short, she contacted Mark. He sat her down, taught her the setup. She sim traded for 4 months, in the office with him. And to make a long story short, she's a six-figure trader. And I spoke to her on the phone and I asked her, "Do you trade every day?" And her answer to me was, "Mr. David, if I have no setup, I don't take no trade. Period. That's it. I take my hand off the mouse." That's the way she trades. That's the way I trade. That's the way everybody in the room trades that's successful. Here is a review in Trustpilot by this guy Barry. He's in my room probably the last 5 years. And he says, "I've been trading for 25 years. He can say, honestly say the money flow tracker software is the smartest tool I've added to my toolbox. A single layout chart gives me everything I need." And true, Larry, he's true. Why? Because I don't have to have 3 time frames or 4 time frames up for me to know what's going on. For instance, I know I have a colored background. I have 3 time frames that are bearish. This is my trading time frame, right? I know that I need to have my quants in agreement, my multiple time frame agreement, my modified Ligurian agreement, right? But my modified Ligurian isn't pinned at 0 till here. So I wouldn't have taken this trade. Why? It's too close to the open line and too close to these pivots and this higher time frame support. So you only need one chart to know what's going on all the other charts. All right, let's keep going. I'm not gonna read this. I'm just gonna kind of give you a rough summary because my voice is going. This is a guy that was in a webinar just like you are. He sends me a message in the questions box and he says, "I'm the world's worst trader in the world." He says, "Thinking about quitting trading. I've been trading for 7 years and I really haven't been making any money." He says, "But I really like the money flow tracker software. And if you'll help me, I'm coming aboard." So he did. So in about 3 months, he went from 0 funded accounts to 7 accounts at Apex and 7 accounts at Buellnox. And this was maybe 8-9 months ago. He has now 20 accounts at Apex, 10 accounts at Buellnox, bunch of accounts at Top Step and whatever. I don't know. Anyway, right? And then he goes on and he says, "The money flow tracker software, along with David's methodology and rules, allow me to act like a robot and eliminate any guesswork and emotions from my trading." He said, "We also use the NDT, which allows a single push button to enter a trade when we see the correct setup." So for him, he took it and he said, "Keep it simple," because that's what I tell him. Keep it simple, the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. So every day he says simple. If I see a setup, I'm pushing the button. If I see a setup, I push the button. If I see the setup, he's pushing the button. And that's it. If he doesn't have a setup, he's not pushing the button. Well, about 4 weeks last week, he sent me, 4 weeks ago, he sent me this message in the questions box and go to webinar. And he says, plus $4,265, traded only 4 accounts that day. I could ring the bell and he left the room and he was done for the day. He traded for 1 hour and 6 minutes and he made $4,265. No, Larry, it doesn't have a built-in trade copier, but I could recommend a really good trade copy for you when you're interested. Okay. So again, this is our special offer that we're doing for 2026, and this is good till Friday. Is $597 for a quarterly, $1197 for an annual, and this is all after a 50% off discount. And if you want to do a lifetime, it's $1997. Period. All right. And also, I encourage you, if you are interested in the software or even just thinking about it, put your name and your phone number in the questions box. Let Rory give you a call. Ask him as many questions as you want. Yes, this is being recorded. You'll have the recording probably in a few hours after the webinar is over. It will lock you in to getting the auto trader, the NDT, the market analyzer. Okay? It will lock you into those specials. Look, the Revo Revolutions strategy is worth $1197, is worth the $2,000 for a lifetime by itself. I showed you what it did last year. Is it going to do it this year? I don't know. It's only the 7th day into the new year. You know, it's been very quiet, very choppy so far, but it's expected right after the holidays. It takes a couple of weeks for the traders to get back in the groove and stuff like that. So if you want all the extra bonuses and you put your name and your phone number in, we will guarantee you that. Hold on a second. Rory's telling me, I want you to welcome to the Money Flow for Right Line Trading, Blake, Terry, Moshi, Jacob, and Stephanie. Oh, and he just put another one, Shirley. Don't call me Shirley, Shirley. All right, thank you. Anyways, welcome you guys. I'm going to get you guys up and running as quick as I can possibly go. And that's it. That's all I got. If you want, I could look at a couple of markets for you if you're interested. Tell me, somebody put in what market they want to look at, and I'll pull up a chart real quick. I'm a little bit over, but I'll stay a little bit later if somebody wants to see a particular market. Nobody? MYM. That, you know what, something, that's absolutely one of my favorite markets. And that's actually the same bar size as my gold chart, so I can use that chart, and I'll pull up a new chart. I could have swore I could swear everybody was going to say MNQ, MNQ, MNQ. Let me tell you something. Trading MNQ, I proved something with the auto trader last week. You don't realize what YM. You don't realize on MNQ how much slippage that you get. A lot. I had a trade on a chart. I swear that the order, let's say, was, I don't know, the order was right here, and the market moved so fast, I didn't get filled to like right here. I have like 12 ticks of slippage on MNQ. And I went back and I started looking at my orders and I started looking at my fills, and I'm like, screw this. There's lots of other markets to trade. Okay, so here's YM. Here's a trade setup right here. This was this afternoon at 326. All right, this is higher time frame support. This is a 3/4 candle. It's hard for me to tell where the pullback candle was. Let's put it this way. Okay, came down. This looks like the pullback candle looks like a little wick over here. This I would have an order here. Goes down, exit on line change. 78 ticks this afternoon. Here's another trade. 3/4. This was a pullback. I can see the wick there. Went down. On this one here, I would have been probably trailing my stop 1 bar back. Normally, for me, I always trail my stop 1 bar back most of the time. 12 ticks. You know, today's been a quiet market. but there are trades here on MYM. Here's another trade. Here's another trade. Let's see. Gold. I already had gold up there. Let's look at gold. Okay. Here's gold. Much different picture than YM, right? Still loading the chart. Okay. Here's gold. This was, let's see anything earlier. This wasn't a trade here because we didn't have the C2. Okay. This here, this wouldn't be in a trade for me because I can tell I'm so far away from the 50, the MA dip would be too high. But here's a really nice trade around 1130. Right here. Now this is the VWAP. We only take longs above. So we would have taken this trade here, right? And if we stayed in to exit on line change, 35 ticks. Here's another one. This is probably about 20 ticks. But see how simple it is? And we have what we call the Revo strategy, which we use to test the automated strategy, and it's called the Revo. And basically, the Revo, it plots these triangles or dots or whatever I have them set up for triangles. It tells you when you have a setup, a qualified setup. Now, this is telling me I have a setup because it doesn't have the VWAP part programmed into the Revo signal. This is a signal. This is not the strategy. So I use the signals with the same settings as the strategy when I do testing. All right, so there's some trades here on gold. Let's see. Not too much yesterday, not there. Gold was really good last week. But there's not a whole lot of trades on gold. It depends. When gold's moving, we get trades. When gold's chopping, we don't get a whole lot of trades. All right, one more, and then we got to be done. I don't have data for the Nikkei, Sandy. You want to look at the ES? All right, I could pull up the ES and then I'll be done here. ES, we trade down in a 248 bar. I can't just change the symbol on the bar size. I have to put on the right template for the settings. Okay. ES. Actually, I think I have it with the Revo on it, so we'll put it on there. All right, so let's look at ES and then we'll be done. I usually don't like to go over. Oh, some nice trades. This was at 2 o'clock. Let's look at the beginning of the day today. Might have to start trading the ES a little bit. This wasn't today. I think this was yesterday. Okay. This is today. So this was overnight. This one here, the auto trader would have taken that trade because everything was green below. We broke the pivot. This trade here, you could have took a little scalp here, right? Took a little scalp there, could have had a nice little winner here. This was the entry right here on this candle. Right here, it went up a total of 10 ticks. The problem with ES, it doesn't move a lot of ticks a lot of time. It's not as volatile. I don't want to say it's volatile, it's not the right word. But here's some nice short trades in the afternoon. This particular trade here, exit on line change, 22 ticks on the ES. That's a nice trade. That's 4 points. So anyways, so it's very versatile. You could trade it on any markets. That's it. That's all I got. What time of the day did those ES trades show? Most of the trades today were showing it later in the afternoon. Oh, this is my MNQ chart. Let's see. And then let's see. This trade here was at 311. This trade here was at 327. In the morning, it was, there were a few trades here. It all depends. I mean, ES, you got to go for smaller targets. It doesn't move like a lot of other markets. It doesn't move as, it's not as volatile as MNQ. I like to trade personally. I like to trade YM, RTY, gold when it's moving. And I trade MNQ because people in the room want to trade it, so I trade it. All right? All right, everybody. Have a great afternoon, morning, depending on where you're located. I look forward to working with all the people that signed up in the room, signed up, and you will get a recording and take note of or you can get also the coupon codes for, just remember to save 50% off for the subscriptions, and it's just 50% off for the lifetime. And if you need the coupon codes, you can call us at Right Line Trading and we'll give them to you. All right. Thank you for attending. Sorry I went a little bit over, but I'm very passionate about trading and I love teaching people how to trade. And I like teaching people how to become independent traders. So have a great evening. Take care. Thank you again for attending. And I look forward to working with everybody in the trade room. Good night. Take care. Bye-bye.